So, ladies and gentlemen, Avatar re-released. This is part of the marketing push, I guess you could say, for Avatar: The Way of Water. I am surprised that they did this, but also the response to this is telling. Avatar has absolutely smashed Don't Worry Darling out of the water. Massively so. In fact, Don't Worry Darling can be considered a flop, I guess you could say. And this is no surprise, I guess, with all of the nonsense that's been rumoured around this film and actors acting strange. I mean, you have Harry Styles, someone who arguably can't act and has, well, even in the trailer alone, gives terrible performances. So it's not a massive surprise, but it is still interesting. There's not much competition out at the moment, but like I say, interesting nonetheless. And I think, again, quite telling with respect to the way the movie was going to be going anyway. Like the Don't Worry Darling's critical response, terrible. Audience reaction, for those that have seen it and left a review, fine. Upper. 3 stars and above, so to speak. But let's take a look at the numbers, because this is interesting. Avatar re-released King of the World with $31 million global bow. And Don't Worry Darling only takes $30 million worldwide. Now you might go, wow, that's still great. I mean, yeah, it's fine. Like, Don't Worry Darling's budget, this isn't going to be a box office smash, Don't Worry Darling. And it's interesting because it's come out now that the original ending was going to be much, much better to Don't Worry Darling, and what they changed it to was effectively a mess. And this is something which you can research, you can look up how they've butchered this film, because Don't Worry Darling was on a script that won many awards, in fact, and was then chosen by Olivia Wilde, and then changed by Olivia Wilde, for the worse, as it would appear. So there's extra oomph at the international box office this weekend as Disney's, that's right, re-release of 20th Century Studios' Avatar grossed $20.5 million from 50 offshore markets for a $30.5 million global launch. Apparently it's 31, but sure. Again, surprising. It's been remastered in 4K HDR, so that's cool. Good that they did that. Again, I am still surprised that so many people are interested in this. In fact, I spoke to someone yesterday about this, and they were like, it's amazing, blah, blah, blah. And I'm not poo-pooing it. You like what you like. But I did ask him. I was like, okay, so what happened in it then? And sorry, I was moving the mic. And it's quite interesting because they can only tell vagaries in terms of what actually happened in it. And I always find that amazing for a movie that was just absolutely dominated the box office. Not many people can remember much about it. So, you think about the Jedi in Star Wars and things, there are recognisable names. If I said, well, name some of the monsters or whatever in name the colonel, the sergeant, the army guy, in Avatar, I don't think many people would be able to. But anyway, meanwhile, the other major newcomer, which is Warner Brothers' New Line's Don't Worry Darling, which they needed this to do better. They did need this to do better. It only took $30 million. Globally as well, the majority gross from domestic. Internationally, and this is the thing, internationally, it only took $10.8 million in 61 overseas markets. It was number 1 in the UK with $3.1 million and ultimately came in amid expectations, but generally saw some Friday to Saturday drops after the Harry Styles faithful were first in line. That's the thing. This movie's kind of riding on those coattails of Harry Styles rather than the story itself. But again, we have this, Avatar, the official Avatar Twitter account. It's time to see Avatar the way it was meant to be seen, experience it back in theatres now with a special surprise. This is how they're getting people to watch it as well, is that there was a sort of a special tease, I guess, for The Way of Water at the end. Which they say here, before we dig into the nuts and bolts of the newcomers, another SAR, it's a Ticket to Paradise, blah, blah, blah. But now turning back to Avatar, as we noted, coming into the weekend, this release is icing on the cake for the globe's biggest grosser of all time. It's also good news for exhibition during what has been a prolonged fallow period. And it's a means to promote Way of Water, particularly with a focus on 3D. Cameron himself posted a message to Twitter this weekend talking up the remaster. I mean, they have actually put in some work, to be fair, so good for them. And this is the interesting thing. Fans were definitely into the 3D. So 75% of tickets were sold in 4D, 3D. But I wonder if that's mainly just the only screens that were available. I think it's important to say. But it's interesting, you know. 75% of people wanted to watch that in 3D. 3D hurts my eyes. It's not good. Not good for not good for my eyes anyway. But like I say, Don't Worry Darling is a bomb. A huge bomb. Huge bomb. Avatar only has a 2-week period anyway. So when that drops, will Don't Worry Darling rise up? Because that debuted in 61 markets. And only 80% of the international landscape, you know, essentially, it's just not done very well. It's crazy to think it's not done as well as you. Well, it's not crazy, I guess. It's just surprising. You know, a new film, absolutely smashed marketing. The marketing for this film was just outrageous. So much marketing. You would think that with all the marketing push, I mean, I barely knew that Avatar was coming back out in theatres, but I mean, I knew that Don't Worry Darling was coming out. I haven't bothered to watch it yet. I will, but I knew that, you know, that was coming out. Did not know at all that Avatar was. So it is surprising. I think this is kind of telling to a certain degree where people's heads are, I guess, or maybe all of that rumours and rumblings, on-set nonsense, etc. Maybe that, ladies and gents, maybe that is, you know, the nail in the coffin for Don't Worry Darling. Because it's just been inundated with bizarre rumours and rumblings, from firing individuals to hiring individuals to people rumoured to be spitting on people, having affairs. Olivia Wilde being served divorce papers live. It's just insane. Absolutely insane. I mean, if you have a movie that was attached with Shia LaBeouf and he's coming out saying you're basically talking shit about me, yeah, it's not a good sign, is it? But let me know what you guys think. I thought this was an interesting report. Anyway, Avatar smashed it. Don't Worry Darling, flop. Cheers, guys. Take care.